Hello, Aurora lovers. This is DaleBoan from DaleBoan Imaging, and this is Aurora Hunting 101. The moon is the bane of lovers of the night sky. It, like the sun, changes with the seasons, but the motion of the moon is more complicated than the sun. Let's take a look to see why it can be extra annoying during the winter. To help explain the motion and make it so we have a nice visual representation of the motion, I'm going to use Stellarium. It's a free open source app, planetarium app, and downloadable software. There are versions for Windows and Mac OS and Linux, and there's a web version, which is what I'm going to use, but there's also versions for iPhones and Android phones. And this is what it looks like. You can change the layers. You can hide the Earth. So if you need to see below the horizon, you can add atmosphere. If the sun's up, you actually can't see the stars. But I'm going to turn that off because it's easier to see what's going on. So I'm going to start at November 11th, November 12th, I guess, at noon. And the definition of noon it's when the sun is straight south, probably on a particular day because the sun actually moves a little bit. But it would be maybe January 1st. I don't know. Don't remember actually. But generally the definition of noon is when the sun is straight south. That was before time zones, and then people started playing with time zones. Where I live, we're basically on permanent daylight savings time, and it's 1 p.m. approximately when the sun is straight south. Right now it's actually 1:50 something, but approximately 1 a.m. is when the sun is straight south. Or 1 p.m. is when it's straight south, and 1 a.m. is when it's straight north. And, winter, the sun is lower because the Earth is tilted away from it. And if we scroll through the months, you can see that the sun moves up and down. There's a little figure 8, which is why noon I say you need a specific day to define noon. Some people do a photograph of this pattern, and it actually makes kind of a cool photograph. And then the moon goes around approximately once a month. Oops. Go back another year. You see the moon is, in this case, almost straight in the same direction as the sun. Oops. 13th. So that is the definition of a new moon, when the moon is in the same direction as the sun. When it's perfectly in line with the sun, that's when you get a solar eclipse. And the definition of a full moon is when the moon's on the other side of the Earth. So on the new moon, it's between the sun and the Earth. And then about 2 weeks later, it'll be on the other side of the Earth in its orbit around the Earth. And we'll have a full moon because the sun will be basically behind us, and it'll be shining directly on the moon. So if we adjust this, we can see that. Let me see if I can do it right this time. I tried it and I did it wrong. So we need to add 2 weeks, so 14 days. So we want to go to about the 27th. But now the moon is going to be south at 1 in the morning, my time. Yeah, there it is. So it is much higher up in the sky than the sun was. And it will, if we go change the date to December, the sun would be lower in December, the moon will go not a whole lot, but it does move up a little bit higher in December. And just like the sun, it will be up longer in December because it'll behave like the sun. It'll be up in the sky longer because it's, rising higher. So not only, so it'll be higher in the sky, it'll be brighter, and so it'll interfere more with observing the aurora. It'll tend to wash them out even more than it does in the summer. And then worse, if there's any clouds, it'll light up the clouds, which of course it does in the summer as well. But in the winter, there's usually snow in areas where you can see the aurora, and that moonlight will reflect off the snow, and it will also light up the underside of the clouds, making them brighter in the sky, making them even more annoying. So, if we change this, actually I can't change it by, I was going to say I could change this by a month, but we can see the motion, but it doesn't line up exactly on a month, right? We got to go for about 28 days. I think it's actually 29. So that's too complicated to do. And then if we go look at July, and then we'd have to, there's the moon, so it's not too far off. Well, actually, if we do June, on the summer solstice, actually pretty close. Next year, there's going to be a full moon around the summer solstice, June 21st. So that's when the sun is the highest, the nights are the shortest, but the moon is going to be very low on the southern horizon. So that's not going to cause as much interference. And then, of course, where you are on the Earth will affect this. If you're up far enough where the sun doesn't set, the moon is not going to rise, or vice versa, right? Depending on the winter or the summer. So you can take that into effect, or into account. So this is, just a fun application to play with and experiment with a bit. If we go back to noon here, so if we switch back, overshot. So you can see that the sun is now high up in the sky. (1:00). So that's, that's summer, right? The summer solstice, the longest day of the year. And the moon was doing the opposite. A lot of people see Venus, and Venus is very bright. It's always in the dawn and evening sky. So if you, if you run this slower, you can see the motion of Mercury and Venus as it orbits the sun. It's kind of cool to watch. You see the moon zip by every month or so. Okay, so, and then I guess the thing that I didn't say is the moon when, around the equinoxes, that's where the length of the days are about equal, and the moon will rise about equal to the sun, even when it's new or full, right? So there's not going to have that teeter-totter effect during the equinoxes, but it's more when you get closer to the solstices, these summer and winter solstices in December and June. So as you can see, the seasons affect the moon in a somewhat different way than the sun. Its pattern is more complicated. The new moon, which really doesn't affect observing in any meaningful way, because it's the same direction of the sun and it won't be up at night, will move up and down the same way as the sun. But the full moon, which is on the opposite side of the Earth of the sun, will do the opposite, just like a teeter-totter. So in the winter months, it will be high in the sky while the sun is low, and then It'll be somewhat less annoying closer to the summer solstice because it'll be lower in the sky as the sun climbs to its highest point of the year. With that, please check out episode 33. I'm going to review the Aurora Alerts app. Okay, thank you, and I'm wishing you clear skies and happy hunting.